There seems to be some confusion about what the self-employed can claim during the coronavirus crisis. So I want to try to make things a little bit clearer for you if you are self-employed. I set up Sterling Rees in 2006 with the main aim of deciphering tax and accountancy matters for my clients to make things easier for them. And the past couple of weeks, all we seem to have done is give people guidance and signpost them to where they can get help and finance, basically. So we put together this infographic with a little bit of help from our friends at Urban Foundry. And what I want to focus on at the moment is the self-employed category. So that's where some of the confusion is surrounding at the moment. So essentially, you are self-employed if you are subject to or liable for Class 2 and or Class 4 national insurance contributions. So what that means is if you're a director of your own company and you take a small salary and then you top up with dividends, you are not self-employed. Even though it's your company and you're working in it, you're not self-employed. If you are renting out property and you've got a tax return that you complete for purely that purpose, again, you're not self-employed. So you're looking at the kind of person you would expect it to be is maybe a hairdresser, a plumber, a freelancer, a contractor, somebody like that who is working for themselves and submitting accounts to HMRC with a profit figure, and they're paying their tax on that profit. Now, the criteria is that you need to have been registered in self-assessment already. So if you're self-employed and you haven't registered, then you're not going to meet the criteria. The next criteria is, have you filed a 2019 tax return? Now, if you have, then you get to move forward. If you haven't, then you've got 4 weeks in order to file that tax return. So the clock is ticking already, so you've got about 3 more weeks to get that tax return filed. Now, if you have filed the 2019 tax return, what we're expecting is that HMRC will then screen all of those tax returns, and what they're looking for is those people whose self-employed profits are 50% or more of their overall income. So if you've had a job alongside self-employment and your job has paid you 70% of your income, then unfortunately you're not going to meet the criteria. So again, they're very much looking for people who day in, day out work for themselves, maybe a bricklayer or somebody in the trades. Someone like that is likely to be self-employed. So if you have met that criteria so far, then you get to move on again. And generally what's going to happen is HMRC are going to look back 3 years, and they're going to look at the average of those 3 years to see what they believe your income should be for a 3-month period. And then they will pay you 80% of your self-employed net profit, up to a maximum of 2,500 per month. Now, you're not going to get that very soon, unfortunately. You're going to have to wait 3 months in order to receive it, so you won't get it until June. It will be automatic. We don't know by what mechanism you will receive that payment at the moment. So if you have only got 1 year of self-employment, we're anticipating that there will be a mechanism by which you can contact HMRC and you can essentially appeal and put together some kind of argument as to what you should be claiming. That is what we believe at the moment, but the rules are not in place. So what we're anticipating, I'll take you to the HMRC page. So this page here will eventually update. So if you go to the .gov.uk page, work self-employment. So claim a grant through the Coronavirus Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. So this page sets out who can apply and what you will get. Okay, so you need to fulfill this criteria in order to claim. So they're involved. If you haven't submitted your 2019 tax return, please do so by the 23rd of April. Okay, now eventually this section here will be updated to tell us how to apply, but we're not going to know how to do that. You will need your own Government Gateway ID, so that's what it's saying here. You'll only be able to access it through gov.uk. So you should make sure that you've got your login details for your personal tax account. Now, I'm sure a lot of you do already, but it may be the case that your accountant deals with everything on your behalf, or your tax advisor. Now, we are asking the government to allow advisors to act on behalf of their clients, but at the moment we don't know. And what I would suggest is that you put everything in place so there can't be any further delay. So if you don't have a personal tax account, then sign up here, okay? So .gov.uk/personal tax account. To be honest, if you just Google my tax account, it comes up straight away. So if we go back to our, I'm going to take you via our website now, because we've also got the infographic here. So sterlingreese.com, COVID-19 page, and we've got some information here for people. So if you don't meet this criteria, then unfortunately there is not a great deal that the government are going to be able to do at the moment. So the other route that self-employed have got is benefits route. Now there's two lines. You can either follow the universal credit route, or you can apply for new style employment and support allowance. Now, what I would suggest is that you go to a website like this one, entitled2.co.uk. There are others. Turn to Us is another good website. But what this website will do is it gives you all of the information that you need. So you've got pages there about the different benefits, about coronavirus help. If we scroll down a bit further, you can actually go through and calculate what you should apply for, what you can claim, and what would be most beneficial to your set of circumstances. Now, generally, what the difference is that universal credit will look at the entire income from the whole household. So if you live with your spouse or partner, then their financial situation will be taken into account. If you don't want that to happen, then the other option is to go through new style employment and support allowance. Now you can claim based on your national insurance record. So potentially you've been employed up until 6 months ago, decided to set up your own business fairly recently, and unfortunately you're going to fall down this gap that we're all talking about at the moment. If that happens, maybe you live with your partner and they're not affected by the financial impact at the moment, and you just want to claim based on your own record, then you should have a national insurance record, and therefore you would probably go down this route. Unless you use the calculators, you're not actually going to know those. So it's probably best that you hop online and have a little look and see what you're actually entitled to. Now, there are other things that you can look at as well. So if we could move down the page to the All Businesses section, there may be a cash grant available. If you have your own business premises, or you're liable for the rates on the business premises, then you should be able to claim some form of cash grant if you're a small business. So what does that mean? If we look at the Bristol website, sorry, move back up to the top for you. So you can see this is bristol.gov.uk, and they are setting out their measures that they have available for small businesses in Bristol here. Now, if you are in receipt of small business rate relief, then you would be eligible for a cash payment of up to £10,000. Okay, so it may be the case that you've got your business premises and you don't actually pay rates. Now, that could be because your small business rates relief is so high that actually you don't end up having to actually pay anything to your local council. So do check if you have your own premises. Do check and see whether you may be able to apply for these grants. Now, initially, the government did say that this would happen automatically, but actually all of the websites I've looked at are encouraging businesses to apply online. So in Wales, the threshold of the small business rates is actually a little bit lower. So if we go to the Business Wales website, and that explains some of the measures that are available here. And they've actually got a list here of all of the different local authorities, and you can actually go through and apply. So we're based in Swansea. If I click on Swansea, that takes me through to the relevant page, so I can complete my details there and hopefully apply for a business grant. Okay, so if you have business premises, that is one way forward. If you are within the retail, hospitality and leisure industry and you have your own business premises, then those cash grants can be up to 25,000. Now, the thresholds, our infographic actually states £12,000 for small businesses is the threshold. It's actually 15 in England, so do be careful if you're looking at this and you're based in England. So the threshold is very slightly differently, and this infographic was done prior to the local authorities rolling out these application systems. Each local authority is dealing with it in their own way, so do have a look online and check what yours is doing. As well as that, you can contact HMRC for time to pay generally. You can check your insurance policy and see whether you're one of the lucky ones whose insurance is actually going to pay out. I don't think there are many, but it's always worth checking it. You can also apply for a business interruption loan. So if you need access to funds quite quickly for your business, then a loan might be the way forward. Now, do bear in mind, it is still a loan. It's not free money. So essentially, this is only really worthwhile if you are deferring income. So if you're in a business such as ourselves, we do accounts work for people. Right now, people don't have the cash flow to pay for services, but essentially that work is going to need to be done. So later in the year, there will be a catch up. So in that type of business where you've got a catch up of the income, I'd be very interested to see how hairdressers fare with this, because I'm desperate to go to the hairdresser. So you may want to look at a business interruption loan. So what happens? The government will pay the interest for the first 12 months. So it's not actually interest free, it's interest free to you, but the government is actually going to pay it to the bank. And essentially that loan is still a normal commercial loan. So if I show you an application form from NatWest, so this is the type of thing that your bank will give you if you ask them if you can apply for a business interruption loan. If you have a relationship manager with your bank, you will need to speak to them. You can only apply for these loans through your own business bank. you do have to have a business current account in order to be able to apply as well. Okay, so if you have been trading using a personal account, you won't be able to apply. So you need to speak to the bank and find out if there's anything that you can do if you're in a situation where you do need this loan. So the banks have put together quite a helpful leaflet here explaining about what is actually available. So you can actually, they're also suggesting here that you look at temporary overdrafts as well. Sorry, I can't highlight that. So do speak to your bank and find out whether you can access a temporary overdraft, if that is worthwhile for you or not. You also want to have a look at loan repayment holidays. So if you have a mortgage on your business premises, then you should be asking your bank whether you can have a capital repayment holiday. They're not likely to give you a holiday on the interest, but they should give you a bit of a cash flow break. And that's what all of this is about. It's about cash flow and freeing up money at the moment. So, so this is the way, this is the information from them about the government support. So the coronavirus business interruption loan is a normal commercial loan, and that's what you need to bear in mind. You can take the loan out for up to 6 years. So that first year you could have a capital repayment holiday as well. It's possible to ask for one. You have an interest-free period, so that's all addressed here as well. Now, you don't need to make a decision right now. So if you're in a position where you're not sure what to do, or you do think you need a loan but you don't know how much, then the business interruption loan will be available until the end of September. So you don't need to rush. You need to, in fact, I'd say the opposite, take your time, have a really good think about what you need to do, what you should be applying for. So it's quite important here, are you eligible to, are you eligible to apply? So basically you need to fulfill the normal commercial lending criteria, and that is that you need to have been successfully trading beforehand and that the business should have been viable, and that's quite important. So you need to be able to show what your figures would have been before the coronavirus hit. So if you carried on trading, what would your cash flow have looked like? And now you need to show them what the impact is, but you still got to be able to show that you can afford to repay it. That's the most important thing. You would, sorry, let me move this back. So what we need to do, this page is quite important, so you might want to have a look at this again. So what you need to do is pull together all of this supporting documentation. So you need to go and get your last set of accounts. You need to put together cash flow forecast based on what would have been and what is going to be. You also need to have a look at any other schedules that you can give the bank to explain what your financial position is. So if you're if you've got some up-to-date management accounts, then give them those as well. Give them as much information as you can about the business. So tell them exactly what was happening before you were impacted by the coronavirus. You then need to explain how it's going to affect you, but what's going to happen in the future. So you've got to show that that business has the possibility of bouncing back. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to access this loan. The application form is fairly straightforward, so I won't bore you to tears with that one. If we go back to our website, sorry, let me find this for you now. wonders of technology. Right. So that is potentially an option. Now, if you're self-employed and you're VAT registered, then you from next week, any VAT return that's submitted, you don't have to pay it until the end of the year. So it'll be sort of 31st of March next year, so the end of the tax year. So that again will help you with a cash flow issue, but it is not free money, and that's what we keep having to consider. It's not free money. You will have to pay this money back. On our website, we have some fact sheets. So this is our self-employed fact sheet, which you might find useful. So we've explained the difference, the basic differences between universal credit and employment and support allowance. I would suggest you go and have a look at a benefits calculator to see what's going to be beneficial for you. Now, in addition, you can take some other steps. So look at what you can cut down at home. So your home mortgage company, if you can, contact them, see if you can get a repayment holiday. Initially, they were saying capital repayments. Now, home mortgages, some companies are offering full repayment holidays. So you could have a little bit of a break. Do bear in mind that the mortgage will keep running in the background. So it is going to get added to the end, but the most important thing is to keep the cash flow going at the moment. Speak to the council tax department at your local authority, see if you can get a reduction. A lot of local authorities are allowing people to move the 2 council tax free months to the beginning of this year. So instead of having February and March as council tax free, they're saying, okay, maybe you can start paying in June instead. Now, it's not applicable to everybody, and you do have to apply. Generally, what I've seen is that you need to email the local authority. You need to explain why you need this help, and then they will consider it. Number 3 is apply for working tax credit. So if you haven't already, then you should definitely look at working tax credits and child tax credits if you have children. We've already discussed the business premises at length, so I'll leave that. If you're unwell or self-isolating, so if you have to stay at home because your wife is pregnant, or perhaps somebody in your family is in one of the vulnerable groups, then you can apply for the equivalent of a sick pay through the employment and support allowance or universal credit. So have a look at doing that. Now, a lot of self-employed people, they would make a payment on account at the end of July. So normally we get to the end of the tax year, pull together your tax return for you, and then come January we tell you you've got to pay this, oh, and you've got to pay a little bit more as a payment on account, oh, and by the way, in July you'll also pay a little bit more again, but don't worry, because those 2 payments are going to go towards the current year. What they've said is you don't need to make that payment in July. Again, you will have to pay it, but you don't have to pay it until January. It's not free money. It is a way of giving you cash flow to ease the financial burden at the moment. But obviously bear in mind that in January, you're going to be paying a lot more than you're probably used to. Business interruption loans we've already spoken about. Now, if you rent premises, I know I've talked about mortgages if you have your own premises, but if you rent your premises, then go and speak to your landlord. Perhaps they can give you a rent holiday. We are all in this together. Nobody is going to make a huge profit over the next few months. So go and speak to the landlord and see what they can do. If they have a mortgage, perhaps they're having a capital repayment holiday, perhaps they can pass the saving on to you somehow. What I have seen is landlords allowing possibly a rent-free or a low rent period for a period of say 3 months, and then extending the lease by those 3 months. So, you know, there's ways to negotiate. Speak to your bank, find out if you can have short-term overdraft. I know we've mentioned that already, and obviously time to pay. So if you've missed a tax payment or you think you're going to miss one, then get hold of HMRC as soon as you can. So I think those are pretty much all of the major areas that you would probably want to look at. As I say, this infographic is on our website, so feel free to jump online and have a look. And we've also got a few information sheets there as well, which you could have a look at. And then we also had a few of these. Oh, I've doubled myself up, look. So we also had a few of these social media posts going out. So if you want to have a look at our Facebook page, I think they went on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So you can have a look and see. They're just quick, short summaries as to what you can do. But I think generally that's pretty much it for the self-employed. We are here as a team to help you. So if you need any help at all, then please get in touch with us. We're more than willing to signpost and guide people. If you do need any cash flow forecasts drawing up for your business interruption loans, then obviously we'll do what we can to help there. Just let us know. And obviously you've got my email address if you need it too. Okay, I hope that that's been useful to you, and I hope to follow these up with some more information in due course.